His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan, a music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is our 67th episode, and we're calling it the Best of Copywrite. If you're unaware of Copywrite the rapper, do yourself a favor and check him out. He's from Columbus, Ohio, and he kind of came up in the big, indie hip-hop boom that happened kind of in the late 90s, early 2000s, where, a lot of online stores were just selling tons of CDs from these guys. It was just a movement, kind of, like there was a lot of cool hip-hop-oriented radio shows, a lot of ways to spread the word, and a lot of big names from that era. Eastern Conference, that records, that was where Copywrite kind of came up first in. Definitive Jux was a big label. Rhymesayers was a big label. Anticon. There was a whole bunch of, and it was really cool because it was a time of creativity. It was not a time of really, thug-oriented rap music. It was a time to kind of express yourself, and a lot of in-house production beats, a lot of positivity in the lyrics. And Copywrite, he's kind of like just the cool indie side of punchline rapper who can serve you on freestyles. And but now he's really branched out. He's becoming more, having actual albums that, tell a story, making concept albums, making, concept tracks. He's got a new album out this week from his longtime crew, Megahertz, MHZ. And they're out of Columbus, Ohio as well. It's with RJD2, Kai the Motormouth, Tage Proto, and Copywrite himself. And for years they were joined by Camuteo, who passed away in 2008 from lung cancer, but he still features on the album. They've been doing this for about 20 years now, and it's a great record. It's called Megahertz Legacy. And check it out now. It's on Man Bites Dog Records, and you can find it on iTunes. You can find it on undergroundhiphop.com, ughh.com, whole bunch of other places. It's a great record. I totally recommend it. And today we're just going to play our two interviews. One took place, I think, May 2011 after his previous album dropped, and then February of 2012. He's had a busy year. Earlier this year, he also released a solo album called God Save the King, and that's going to definitely also end up on my top 20 list. My first interview with him was back in the Fleetcast, actually in 2010, right as his Life and Times of Peter Nelson came out. And so that was October of 2010. We stayed in touch. He's a real nice guy, good friend of the show. So this is the Best of Copywrite. But before we get into it, I'd like to bring up my awesome sponsor, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. If you dig the real deal barbecue, you got to take a visit out to Westmont, Illinois. It's really close from Chicago, about 20 minutes. It's really close to all the major highways and thoroughfares. Do check it out. They got smokers attached to the building, constantly pumping this delicious hickory smoke smell into the neighborhood. It wafts throughout the neighborhood. They've got intense pulled pork, beef brisket, barbecue chicken, even broasted chicken. They've got a whole bunch of homemade side dishes. I stand by the ribs. The ribs are great. They have a competition team going around the country. Check them out, UncleBubs.com. Give them a call. It's 630-493-9000. And if you're in the area, check it out. It's a family-friendly restaurant. It's been 15 years now. Located at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois. It's not just a restaurant. They're also a full-service catering company. They do the weddings, luau's, pig roasts, corporate events, corporate lunches, backyard parties. They've got grills. They've got smokers. They'll bring them to the site of the party and make sure it goes off without a hitch. So check it out, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue. All right, that's about it for now. I want to introduce you back to May 2011. Interview with Copywrite. All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the 13th episode of The Andy Dare Show. I'm your host, Andy Dare. And currently, today, I'm very lucky to have with me via phone, I got the hip-hop legend, Copywrite. Copy, how you doing, man?
Hey, young world. Chilling, man. How are you?
Very good, actually. Having a lot of fun with my new show. We got to speak with you last November on the Fleecast, and learned a lot about your knowledge for music, and I thought it would be something to carry over to the new show. So just thanks again for calling in and do a little interview today. So yeah, if my listeners want to find out more about your world, what can they hit you up on Twitter? And if so, what's the handle and what's the websites they can find you at?
Yeah, tell them hit me up on Twitter. It's just Copywrite, CopyWritTV.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I've been seeing you up there. There's a lot of funny stuff, a lot of cool hip hop stuff going on there. But yeah, in the last interview, we covered a lot about the life and times of Peter Nelson, which is your latest studio record. I've seen that it's got quite some legs on it. I think you've taped 5 or 6 different music videos for it.
Yeah, we did about that. Yeah, and we really wanted to do more, man, but just didn't work out like that.
I got you. But, yeah, so we definitely covered the bases on the new album. I thought we could take it all the way back to the beginning for Copyright. And, yeah, I was reading that the first single you released with Megahertz was World Premiere in 1998 off of Fondle 'Em Records. And I know Bobbito Garcia is quite a character. Any stories about you meeting Bobbito for the first time?
Man, when we first dropped our demo off, because he used to have a store called Footwork in Manhattan, and he had a store called Footwork in Philly. So our, at the time, manager, Nelson Morales, it was his idea to go out there and drop our shit off to him. So we went out there. We dropped a demo off at each store, Philly and Manhattan. Waited about a month, and we just thought he wasn't feeling it. So we get a call back, and he hits us, once again a month later, telling us he played it on the show and he wants to release it. So I mean, that for us that's all we could ask for was just for the man to give us a chance to get our foot in the door. No crazy stories. I mean, Garcia is a character, and he gave us all of our first chances. Like he was the first cat that we went overseas with. And I mean, we were the little guys, man. We were over there with Dilated. This is before they got signed to Capitol. We were over there with Last Emperor, who was still with Aftermath at the time. So I mean, we owe that dude so much musically,
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so Stretch and Bobbito was the main show that they were using to promote all these new younger acts, and so MHZ came up on that. And how many did you guys print of the first single, or did you print many?
You know what? That I don't remember. I think maybe I want to guess like 500 to 1,000, and then I know there were a bunch of represses and everything, but man, I miss those days, and I miss that just how his label was. Like, don't get me wrong, I want promotion. I want people to know my album is out. But with Bobbito, he would just throw the record out, and whoever looks for it, they got to come to him, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. You got to work to it. You got to work for it if you actually want to hear the new shit, kind of, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like he promoted it. None. If you know about it, you know about it, and you find it. If not, you'll never know the record even existed.
I got you. Well, how about any stories about freestyling up on the show, or did you guys get many chances to do that, or did you meet anybody big, like anybody like MF Doom or any other names on there?
Well, when MF Doom, all right, now I got to rewind things back a little bit. I'm a big KMD fan. I was like the only dude in my school to have Mr. Hood. I don't know if you know, KMD is the group that Doom came from.
Oh yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the Black Bastards album too, myself.
Yeah, so when Doom was not even Doom when we were out on Fondle 'Em. That was when he was taking a sabbatical,
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I didn't. I saw Common wearing mascara one time when we all of us saw him wearing mascara. Either that or he just looks like he's wearing mascara all the time. But
Oh, maybe he was
We saw
crying.
him. We saw him. Yeah, we kind of had some legendary ciphers, not to toot my own horn, but going off what the kids tell me and what Bobito and everybody tells me, the cipher we had up there was me, Jakai, Camus, Cage, Yak, Weasley Bruin. I don't know, man. I think LP was up there. It's not that time, a different time, but we had some pretty good ciphers, man. I mean, I love Bobito for doing what he's done for hip-hop and for us.
Oh, of course. Hey, what's he doing now? I know he didn't he quit the show, or he retired, right?
I mean, he's always doing something. Bobito's the kind of dude who, when you think he fell off the earth, he's consulting for Nike. Like, he's always doing something big. And I know he writes. I know he really is a consultant or was a consultant for Nike. He used to play pro basketball in Puerto Rico. He's never, ever, ever just chilling, though. He's always doing a bunch of shit.
I got you.
I
Okay.
know he put out some book, but yeah. You know what? I don't know if a lot of people know this too. He actually started out as an A&R for Def Jam Records. He used to be an A&R.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that definitely helps having a show and bringing up new talent when you are an A&R guy. I know that for sure. But how did this all like work together to form the album as Table Scraps? Was it mostly songs that you guys were kicking around, or was it recorded in one thing?
I wouldn't even call that thing an album. It's demos. The songs on there is the demo that got us, like, whatever, got us signed to Bob, even though there was never any signature or anything. Basically, that's why we call it Table Scraps, turntable scraps, shit laying around, here's a single, here's a demo, here's some shit that's been on vinyl. We're just now about to drop the debut, the Megahertz debut. Like, none of us in the group consider that an album.
I got you. Huh. Awesome.
Yeah.
How early is the earliest stuff featured on that album? Are we talking back mid-90s or?
Definitely mid-90s, yeah, like 95, 96. It's when we were really just trying to, Megahertz man, we went through so many different things, like, different, used to be 9 of us. Jakai was never really in Megahertz. Me and Jakai started out in Opium Prodigy. Me and Jakai weren't even cool when we first dropped World Premiere. It wasn't until the next single that I made him get on the single and shit. Like, basically, he never gave a shit about rapping. He never wanted to put out any music. Just forced him to get on the single and shit, and then he kind of got addicted to it. But, yeah, man, I mean, we're all, there's whole shit on there. So the shit that we're working on now, man, I wish I could sit in a room and play you the shit. Like, it's really, really, really the shit the type of album that we'd always hoped to make is what we're making. Like, it's just coming out real nice. Real crazy. I hate to say next level because it's fucking stupid to say it, but just anything what you would expect to hear from, like, RJ, me, Jakai, and Tage Future is basically what we're doing. And we got a few smooth verses on there, too.
That's crazy, man. I'm really excited. Are we going to be able to hear that before the year's over? Or?
I think so, man. I hope so. As long as, everything runs smoothly. But, yeah, it should definitely drop this year. We've got, like, 10 songs done for it. We're just, I kind of had to put that on pause to finish up God Save the King, which is this other album I'm dropping in a few months. But, yeah, man, it should be out by the end of this year. Should definitely be out. We're looking for, like, a November, October release, so.
I know a bunch of heads out in the Midwest that are really waiting on that, so should have a lot of people to play to if you ever want to bring the tour into the Midwest for sure. But I'd like to rewind back a little bit more. So you guys had Megahertz with the Table Scraps. How did that kind of turn into a deal with Eastern Conference Records? And did you want to sign Megahertz to Eastern Conference, or did you want to go solo when that came?
No, I never wanted to be solo, man. Always wanted to put out Megahertz shit. But Cage tracked me down, got my number from Bobito, and basically wanted to work with me and shit, and was telling me that Milo wanted to work with me. He heard World Premiere, he only wanted to work with me. So when I went out there, I caught a Greyhound bus. Oh, so fucking, man, this is so long ago. This was like 90, I want to say 98, 99. I went out there with singles, though. I went out there with the song This Year and, what else? Counseling. And I tried to, shop those as the single, but Milo really wasn't trying to work it. I brought My Dead Ringer, too. RJ's first album.
Yeah.
He didn't want to sign it. Man, some people just don't have a vision for things, and he definitely didn't have the vision, and I guess that's why he's DJing for...
I heard he's making Tiesto-type beats or something, right?
I don't know. He's DJing, and on paper, this is going to sound fucked up, because I don't care. I don't judge people, whatever. He's just DJing for gay weddings and things like that, which is, if he's making his paper, that's cool, but some people just don't get hip-hop, and they never were hip-hop, and they never had it in their blood, and they're just doing whatever is convenient at the time to pay him a little money. And he's one of those dudes.
I got you, huh? Well, I mean, I do understand, yeah.
And with no offense, let me add this. I appreciate what he has done for me, putting out my album and being, the shit he's done for me. I appreciate it, man. As a man, I appreciate that. That's not going overlooked. But, just some people just aren't. It's just not in them.
People do change and transform as the years go by and stuff like that. But, man, the High Exalted, when that first dropped, I mean, I can only compare it to an indie Illmatic just because, I mean, you had 4 beat makers that seemed like they all wanted the same thing to happen with the output of the album. And, I mean, there's not a weak track on the album. And even when you re-released it last year without Milo's beats, I mean, it still held its own, and that shows how classic of an album is. You can just take parts of it away and still let it be like a beginning to end banger. So that's the High Exalted, of course.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. I've got I got all kind of things I don't like about it, especially now. But that's always how the fucking artist is gonna be. He's always gonna bitch about what he doesn't like. So I appreciate that, man.
Of course. And how was touring with the Smut Peddlers, touring with Mr. Liff and A$AP Rock for that album? Was it a fun experience, or was it just...
Oh, hell yeah. Real fun, man. Real fun. Man, the longer you stay in any industry, the more you get bored, you understand how shit works, the backgrounds of the puppet show, so to speak. So back then, it was still new to me, like, certain shit, running around on the tour bus, just going to different states and people knowing my shit. So I had a blast, man. The shit was it was real good back then.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it was real fun, man.
Any town that you especially liked performing in, or was it back to Columbus? Was that your favorite place, or?
Man, probably California and overseas and Canada for sure.
Yeah, I heard Canada's real laid back,
It's fucking awesome, man. I love Canada. The girls there are cool as hell. The weed there is cheap. The strip clubs are different. You don't have to tip the girl. You just buy drinks. I mean, the people, the best way that I can describe Canada is like they're like Americans without the insecurities and egos. They're really cool, man. Like, they're real chill people.
Awesome. Well, okay, so after the High Exalted dropped, seemed like everything was going great for you guys and the label itself, but soon it seemed like relationships were starting to fray and people were starting to want to do their own thing. Can you explain the 8-year absence between the Life and Times of Peter Nelson and the High Exalted? And I know you weren't just sitting on your ass. I mean, there was plenty of mixtapes coming around, but was it mainly a label thing or was it a personal thing?
Nah, it was mostly a lazy thing. It was mostly like me just sitting around, just content with where I was and just, not really trying to, not trying to do anything. Some of the that is kind of when shit started, like, I started not becoming cool with certain people and Weatherman just because of the prior experience. Like when we were on tour, I learned a lot about certain cats, and I was like, wow, like just shit that, like, just kind of like, man, this is the cat that I'm like chilling with. Like, this dude who told me he sold his soul to the devil when he was 13 and trying to get a record deal. Like, that's the cat that I'm rolling around with. I'm like, shit like that. And I just was like, man, I don't vibe. This isn't, the person I thought it was. Like, I don't vibe with this cat. I don't vibe with these cats. And then, but for me, man, I don't give a shit about music all like that. And what I mean by that is it does not dictate my life. It does not make me who I am. I don't care about it, man. Like, I wouldn't backstab my friend over music. You know, I'm not going to hang out with people who I normally wouldn't hang out with if not for the music. So I just separated myself from certain people, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep your dignity and keep your self-worth there. I mean, it's not worth wasting all that just to further your career for a little bit. I mean, it's better to have the dignity in the long run, I think. And I think you've been able to keep that.
I just can't tolerate it. Like, I'm a Gemini, so if something's bothering me, I cannot sit there. Like, I feel like I'm going through torture to try and, just deal with it. So I just got to get the fuck up and get out of any situation that I'm not happy in. But yeah, for sure, man. That's definitely it.
I got you. Well, yeah, in the downtime, you got to release that Cruise Control mixtape. That was, I like that a lot. And you got to use some unreleased Dilla beats. How'd you get the Dilla beats?
My manager, which is Beehive at the time, that's Jay's first cousin. He managed Bleak, and he was managing Dilla at the time. That's when I won the Rock the Mic battle. He told me he had some Dilla beats, so, he hit me with, actually a bunch of beats, Bink Dog, Dilla, cats like that. And he was like, use whatever you want. He was like, just go ahead and demo it up. So I did 3 tracks, and, I asked him, could I put him on a mixtape? I don't think that Beehive realized that the mixtape, which was Cruise Control, had major distro. I thought he thought it was just some little tiddlywink fuck-around mixtape.
Yeah.
And really, in hindsight, I really was just so gassed and so excited to be using the Dilla beats, and I thought that, every rapper thinks that if the producer hears what you do over it, he's going to be like, oh, it's dope. No. Producers don't give a fuck about how dope you are. All they care about is, your loot, their loot. And I don't blame them. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Fuck you. Like, if someone raps over my shit, if you're dope, I don't really give a shit. What's that have to do with the fact that you're just taking my beats and trying to rap to them and use them for your own personal gain? So I feel them on that. But that's how those came about. And I've got 10 Dilla beat CDs, man. I've got shit that House Shoes hit me up about and was like, yo, I've never heard these. Where did you get these? And I burnt, House Shoes and Hex copies of all the joints, and I'm not using them. All they do is, I've listened to them, and that's as far as they go.
Well, is it a thing of respect?
But
or?
it's an honor. It's crazy, and it's like a piece of history I feel like I've gotten. It's an honor to even have this man's beats, and I really miss that cat. I miss the sounds that he made, man. I miss Dilla, because there's so many copycatters with using MOP ad-libs all over the beats and fucking sirens and everything that Dilla would have done. The only thing that they're missing is progression. Dilla wouldn't still be on this shit if he was here.
Exactly, yeah. They're missing the creativity that Dilla has. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, all that was building up until you finding your own footing on the independent label Man Bites Dog?
Well, Man Bites Dog hit me up a while ago, a while ago. But they didn't have any distro. And I had known Ryan from, he used to promote shows. So I signed back then for a production album, which is an album I'm still working on. Basically, me not rapping that much, just my production and a lot of MCs over my beats. But then later on, things started moving. He started getting more distro for his label and shit like that. So after time, it made sense to sign with him. And I already knew he was a good dude. I already know he's cool people. Everything on the business is on the up and up. So yeah.
So this will not happen to another Eastern Conference story, you don't think? Or?
Well, no, you can never say that, man. Anything can happen, especially in this thing. But man,
good vibes.
It's crazy, dude. I don't even really. I love music, but I don't even really care about it. I love it, man. But at one point in my life, it was the be all end all, and now it's just a little cool little hobby.
Yeah,
but,
I got you.
Man, I don't know, man. They're on their shit. I wouldn't say that anything negative would come out of this situation,
Yeah, for sure.
They do good shit. The owner, RML, he's a good dude, But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good music that's about to come out, man. Like I said, I'm dropping this God Save the King album in about 2-3 months, and what that is, it's a concept album with a lot of UK artists on it. Also got a lot of artists from the US. I've got Inspector Deck on there. I've got Killer Priest. I got Gilly the Kid. I got that's Wayne's Ghostwriter. Lil Wayne's Ghostwriter. Shit, man. There's just some good shit on there, but I don't want people to think that it's a copyright album because they'll be disappointed when they hear it, if that's what they're going and thinking.
I got you. Yeah, like the Life and Times was definitely a more personal sound compared to the High Exalted. You really delved deep, especially on tracks like Confessional and whatnot. I kind of feel like June was, the single June that you did with RJ back in the early 2000s. That was kind of like a blueprint for the Life and Times of Peter Nelson. How correct am I with that statement?
I could see how it could look like that, but not really, man. It just was after I went through so much shit. It was the only way that I could even step forward. I couldn't make another album full of just boasting and metaphors and shit. I mean, that would bore the fuck out of me, and I'm sure the listener too. That was kind of always my plan with the first album, was just give people a reason to be interested in you.
Yeah.
Give people a reason to be interested in your personal life, because nobody wants to hear you coming out the gate talking about your personal life. Give them a reason to follow, the way your mind works, and then relate to them,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But no, I could see how you said that though. It's not too far off. It's just that it wasn't planned at all. And when I did June, I didn't think it was gonna do what it did. As far as people coming up to me and saying it helped them get through death and it helped them get through tough situations. Now that's what I was going for though on Life and Times. I was, trying to use my situations to help other people also who were going through the same shit or similar.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. I said you did about 5 videos for the thing. Is there one video you have that you thought was a cut above the rest? Or I thought Confessional was really, looked like a motion picture, if you could say.
Thank you, man. No, you know what? That would probably be it. Confessional.
And what's the story behind the Confessional video? I know you got the gas mask on and the baseball bat and walking through the tracks. Is that from a movie or what is that? What is that about?
Yeah, it was kind of supposed to be like a rough concept, kind of like that one Will Smith joint, I Am Legend, where basically the concept of it was I'm the last man on earth and now I'm confessing all the shit,
Yeah.
Which kind of had nothing to do with the song, but it was a cool little visual idea. We knocked that out in like 5 hours. We knocked that video out really fast, surprisingly fast. And shout out to Casey who did it also. He's real sick, man, dude from out of Boston, really good at what he does.
Yeah, that thing looked like a movie, and it looked like it took weeks to cut instead of 5 hours, so that's a good sign. I mean, any other videos? I think the Mega video too. We were talking about how it's a more personal album, but that song itself really brought you back to the MHC days, Megahertz days, and just spitting, dope lyrics. And that video is also an eye catcher as well.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you know what? I like that video a lot because it's got that song almost didn't happen, man. I really, if you know me, I always have to do at least one track with everybody from Megahertz on it per album. I'm really about, I take loyalty serious, and I really feel like a piece of shit if I don't involve my friends and people who I started with. But I was happy that shit came through and shit. We found all the verses and shit. We found the old Camus verses, and everything came through, man. Like, God willing.
Well, is that song gonna be featured on the new Megahertz, or are we gonna get completely new joints on there?
Nah, we're just gonna leave it on Life and Times. But we got a few new ones. Like I said, we got maybe like 4 or 5 songs with Camus on it. So, fans will be able to hear Camus on some vintage rapping shit.
I was gonna ask, how'd you feel about the album that Def Jux put out for Camus.
I loved it, man. I got it. It's in my car right now. I liked it a lot. I mean, you know, it wasn't finished. The mix downs weren't there. There were songs where there were verses missing and shit. But I understand and respect that LP left it like that. You know, he left it how Camus left it.
Yeah, it seems like LP's got the respect, so you can trust that he's gonna put out something that's not just rushed or, you know, something that's a fully formed album, pretty much. But I also really liked him in Camus' Central Services album. I think that was even better because that seemed like that was, you know, in the can, completely formed and ready for release. That just never got released till after the death.
Right. Yeah. Yep. See, I didn't know anything about that when they were making that. Of course, now I can say shit like this and I mean it, but it doesn't mean that I don't like it. Like, I've known Camus longer than anybody in this music game or whatever. You know, I introduced him to Jakai. I was his link for introducing him to everybody. I mean, Cage didn't even like Camus when he first met him. He hated him. But with that said, I think that if there's one person on earth who would have been able to carry out the album and work on it and shit to where Camus would have been proud of it, it could have only been me. But, you know, I'm not mad at the album. I think it's dope. I know how Camus' mind works, man. Like, we've been fucking real close friends since middle school, you know, elementary school, or not elementary school, but middle school. So I know how he likes mix downs and shit. We come from the same school. We learned a lot of the same shit from intellect, from the same person. So I know I could have freaked that shit and made it a little bit better, but it's not about what I could have done. It's about his piece of work as he left it. So I respect it. It's got a lot of good shit on there. I'm surprised that it didn't, you know, make a little bit more noise because it's really ahead of its time, man.
Yeah, I think we're at the point in the record industry where Definitive Jux was like such a big label. I mean, from I'd say 2000 to 2004 or 5, and like everybody was waiting for every release, you know, holding their breath, waiting for the next album to drop. But I think LP or somebody just dropped the ball as far as, you know, really pressing, you know, putting these records out there and making sure everybody hears them. Because I mean, even Cage's last album, nobody really was interested in, and I mean, if LP were to release a new album, I think maybe that could get some interest, but it doesn't seem like the distribution's there that it used to be. I mean, it also has to do with stores closing, you know, and stuff
every shit happens for sure, man. And I know it's not easy to run a label and to do all the shit LP was doing, so maybe that has something to do with it, you know, having too full of a plate. And
yeah, are you and LP on good terms, or?
I'm gonna guess that he has some invisible grudge with me, but no, I've never done anything to LP.
Good, because yeah, I think he's I mean, with the beats at least, he had a sound that you couldn't really compare to anything else at the time. Sort of like Camus' beats, they didn't sound like anybody else's, and that's important, you know. And like, yeah, for this show, I don't know, maybe later I'll do this, but we were gonna talk about our top 5 favorite hip hop producers of the 1990s. I'm going to go through mine real quick. Maybe you could just chime in, or if you've got some that aren't on my list, maybe. My number 5, I got the aforementioned Jay Dilla, who, I mean, he was really doing a lot of work before he made his group with Slum Village. A lot of people don't know, but he's got beats on Farside's Lab Cab in California. You know, I really like Runnin' is an awesome song, and he took that sample and really made a new sound with it. A lot of people didn't know it was Dilla at the time, but, you know, that. Then you had the Love Movement and Beats, Rhymes, and Life from Tribe Called Quest.
I'm going to voice my opinion, and I know a lot of people might not like this, but I love Dilla to death. I love his beats. I mean, come on, he was the first person, like you said, in Running. He was the first person to put a bass line. Well, I'm sorry, Ultramagnetic did that first. But he was one of the first person to really run with that shit, and he would put a bass line in the chorus and have no bass line during the rap part, which is kind of unheard of. Or he would wait like 8 bars to bring the bass line in, you know, which was really fucking dope, really sick. You know, like that fucks your whole mind up.
Exactly. So when it does drop in, like, it's mind blowing.
So that was my number 5, Jay Dilla. We could go on for hours about that, but no need really. He's a legend. My number 4 is kind of a weird pick that not a lot of people talk about, but if you're anything into the West Coast gangster sound, look no further than DJ Quick. Any thoughts, Copyright?
Oh, he's incredible, man. Again, fan. Like I had purchased the name on cassette when I was in middle school, man. So I definitely was a quick fan. Yeah, he's incredible. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he's really, 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 really dope. And he's a good rapper. To me, he's got great rhythm.
Oh yeah.
Dope.
Well, I've got a DVD of his, and it shows like how musical the guy actually is. Like he'll get on the guitar, he'll lay down a guitar riff, he'll get on the bass guitar, put a bass down, then keys, then he'll get behind the drum kit, then he'll throw a sample in. Like, what can't this guy do? It's just amazing. So.
Yeah, nah, he's really dope, man. Who else you got? I thought you were gonna say who's the one cat's name? Bobcat? Am I thinking Bobcat? No, anyway.
Yeah, but the his real name's David Blake, and he's got a new album out.
Book of David.
What was that?
Book of David. It's called Book of David.
Book of David, yeah, Book of David. He's got he even had Busy Bone on there, and I hadn't heard much from Busy Bone lately, but the two together sound great. He's got Ice Cube sounding like 20 years younger on that thing. Yeah, the guy does not get the respect that he's due, and I think he's got a lot of songs that are, Grammy nominated, and they were hit songs in their own right, but you don't realize they're quick songs. And he's been around for 20, 25 years. I think he's definitely left his mark on the scene for sure.
Yeah.
Would you ever get on a quick beat, Mr. Copy?
Yeah, fuck no, man. Of course I would.
Of course. Okay, so that brings me to my number 3, and the next 3 are just legends. So there's not much else we could say about them really. But number 3 is the RZA, Robert Diggs.
Yeah, man, RZA. I haven't really thought RZA had it since the first few albums, man. But see, I'm picky, man. Like, I don't know. To me, RZA just doesn't. What the fuck has RZA done? Like,
well,
albums that are dope. He's just too hit or miss for me, man. He's way too hit or miss for me.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, probably after the year 2000, it just kept going more experimental, more strange, and less hip hop, I'd say. Especially that 7th Diagrams album wasn't really a banger, or 8 Diagrams, excuse me.
Yeah.
But
I love experimental. It doesn't have to be rap for me. But yeah, it's just too much. It's too much shit that just doesn't do anything for you, for your senses,
I got you. Yeah, the reason why I put him on the list was that run between like the debut album, Enter the Woo, and up until their second album, because of all those solo albums that I think he produced every single one of those solo albums. You got the classics like Liquid Swords, you got Only Built for Cuban Links, what else you got there? What's Ghostface's? Oh, Iron Man, and then you got Tikal. All those. There's that could be a box set of 70 bangers on there, and that's kind of why I had to put him on the list. He obviously hasn't matched that heights for 15 years, but yeah, just for that stretch of 2 years where he released 6 or 7 completely self-produced albums, I just got to give it to the guy for that. So.
Yeah, I feel it, man. I feel it. He's on a lot of people's classic lists, so it's not like it's unheard of and shit. I'm just a picky bastard.
No, I got you. I'd love to see Megahertz after you guys drop this new album. Maybe all of you go ahead and do solo albums and have them all, have the same team producing them or something, just so it's got a united feel or something. That could be. It's something that people aren't really doing nowadays, and I kind of miss that period in music. So.
It's hard though, man. It's hard to get a lot of beats from the same producer just because,
everybody's busy with all sorts of different things.
I'm just picky. Like, out of 20 beats, I might find 3,
Yeah.
And I'm talking about everybody from, even Dilla, even on these Dilla beat CDs. That's why I try to tell people every beat is not a keeper. Like, if you listen to even the greatest of the greats, like RJ, anybody, it's just a fact of life. Every beat you're not going to like. That's why it's kind of hard to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You get a handful out of a 50 beats or something. Yeah.
Like back in the day, right? Before I understood how shit worked, I would be like, "Oh, this beat's whack. Oh, Premier did a whack beat." No, it's the artist's fault because he picked this whack beat. Premier may not even have liked the beat. It may have just been some fuck around shit that he ended up saving like, oh, somebody might like this, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That guy scooped it up, and now everybody thinks it's Premier's fault, but yeah.
Yeah, some people just don't know how to pick beats, man.
That's true, and that brings me to my number 2. Good segue there. I got DJ Premier. I mean, if he's number 2, who's going to be number 1? But any thoughts on Premier that haven't been thought before?
I love Premier, man, but, like, once again, you know, not everything's incredible. Actually, I haven't heard shit, man. You know what? The best beat that I've heard from him, last beat that I've heard was something he did for Christina Aguilera, I think.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah.
It was like, because he did like 4 or 5 on that album. What was that shit? It's called For My Fans or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely heard it. Yeah.
Incredible. Royce killed it on Bar Exam 1. But nah, I love DJ Premier, and also I love the fact that he made his own sound. You know, like he created his own niche to the point where everybody was just trying to bite him. To the point where when you do collage cuts for a chorus, you know, you call it like, oh, do it like Premier. You know, like,
yeah,
he's done so much dope shit, and the real ill shit is that he's from the fucking West Coast.
He's from the West Coast?
From Houston, he's from Texas, yeah.
Oh, okay, he's from Texas. Got you. I could have swore he was New York.
And Guru's from Boston, so none of them are from Brooklyn.
Huh. Yeah, but I mean, that's another style that the way he's sampled, kind of his samples, like he must have quite a record collection. I'm sure he's got a basement full, but yeah, Chris Martin, DJ Premier. Obviously, Guru's gone, so I think Premier's kind of working on his own label or something. Is that what he's up to?
Oh, dude, I'm not even sure, man.
Because, yeah, you're right. I haven't heard a beat from him for years, so.
Man, I'd love to get a beat from Premier. I just don't feel like paying like 5 stacks.
Yeah, I got you. Ask Man Bites Dog. Come on.
Knots. I just got some beats from Knots, and I'm working on one of my solo albums. I don't know what it's gonna drop on or whatever. I got a few options, and I got my own label also through Nature Sounds Distribution. So at any given time, I could just drop my own shit on my own label.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's probably where this Knots beat's gonna end up at.
Oh yeah, Knots is another one of those. He's a young guy, but he's got he's got that early Premier sound a little bit, kind of, and I mean, he's got his own style too. So.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah, man.
All right, you're probably gonna hate my number 1, but and this is nothing to do with the last 10 years. This is all '90s output. I got to go with Andre Young, right. Dr. Dre. I mean.
I knew it. Yeah, that's a good one though. Andre's definitely a good one, man. Look, he went through so many eras, and I don't care what beats he produces, and you know, Melman does this or did this. He's dope, man. You know, who gives a fuck about all that at the end of the day? We don't have time to nitpick. It's just like, is it dope? All right, cool.
Yeah, it's like he did both the Chronic, Doggy Style, and the Marshall Mathers LP all in the span of 1 decade. So I think he's kind of earned a decade off just resting on his laurels, kind of.
Then you got to look at the other shit he did, like all the NWA shit, even Evil for Zaggin', even that album when he did that, like.
And that was 90s too. That's 91, I think. So.
Yeah. Like all their, like A Bitch Is a Bitch, all their old shit was all super hot, man. The fucking shit he did for Michelle A was hot for R&B shit, you know?
Yeah.
That shit was hot. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Andre's a beast, man.
Yeah. Have you even ever heard that unreleased King T album that was going to be on Aftermath? Like.
Nah, man. Nah, I want to.
That actually does have some bangers on it that he never even went ahead and used with other people. It's just a complete album that he kind of worked on. Like had DJ Quick on there too. He's got weird collabs with Shaq and stuff like that. But yeah, that could have been a big hit before he came out. But I think I heard he shelved it because he had just signed Marshall. So that's just how things work. But yeah, the guy kind of created his own sound, and as you can say, he had 4 or 5 bangers all within 10 years. He's kind of earned a decade off, earned a decade to just whatever he's doing, juicing with steroids and working on his neck muscles or whatever. So. But yeah, that's my number 1 pick, Andre Young. Pretty sure Copy agrees with most of my list there. Any beat makers from the 90s that you could throw out there that we didn't really cover?
Man,
kind of put you on the spot, but
the Bomb squad, the Bomb Squad. You know, Hank Shockley and Keith Shockley. They did a bunch of. They did all the Public Enemy stuff. They did the second Leaders of the New School album.
They did Ice Cube's debut, right? America's Most Wanted.
Yeah. They did America's Most. Yep. What else, man? There's a bunch of little guys who I could think of that got overlooked, but they didn't do enough stuff to get, like, Sam Sever he was like one of the sick beat dudes back in the 90s, early to mid 90s, but like he just didn't do enough shit.
Yeah, I got you.
Shit, man.
I
don't know, but
how about Alchemist? I mean, Alchemist came up in the 90s, kind of, right?
Yeah, he used to be in this group called, like, what was it called? Mad Flava, or they were like, it was one of those rap groups with one of those real corny names and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in that group. That was like where we got his little feet wet and shit. Alchemist is one of my favorites, though. One of my favorite beat producers for sure.
Oh yeah, like that new album he did with Madlib's brother, Oh No, Gangrene. That one was one of my favorite albums of the last year too. He just did it.
Oh No's incredible too, man. I got beat CDs from Oh No.
Oh No's sick, yeah.
Yeah, super producer Dave West.
Dave
I got
West.
beats from him. He's crazy.
Yeah, I think you should check out that new Currency album with all Alchemist beats too. Covert Coupe. That was a true banger. Dropped on 420. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves. More 90s beat makers. I'm trying to even think, but you could say Muggs. I mean, DJ Muggs was really dope. But yeah, I think that about does it. Yeah, that pretty much does it for our hour or whatever. But yeah, so we got The Life and Times of Peter Nelson out now. You can get that on iTunes. That's in most chain stores, Best Buys, right?
Yeah, FYE. It's not in Best Buy because they suck.
They keep shrinking their music selection. But yeah, go check it out at FYE or iTunes. Got the new album, God Save the King, dropping, I think, this summer, you said. A new Megahertz album dropping later this fourth quarter release, maybe. Follow Copywrite at Copywrite. That's COPYWRITE. Any other shout-outs you'd like to say before we end this little thing?
Man, I just want to shout out everybody who, followed my music or whatever, but I just want to shout out God, really, man. Really, I mean, everything else is side shit, besides God. Like, so shout out to everybody out there who's trying to do good for themselves and for other people, and who's going through some shit and they keep fucking up. Just keep it moving, man, and holler at me at Twitter, man.
All right, sounds good. Copyright. This is Andy Dare. Follow me at Andy Dare. That's ANDYDERER. And check us out. Check out the podcast. That's the Andy Dare Show. Bunch of new stuff coming on. Got a bunch of guests lined up already. Just like to thank Copyright so much for joining me via phone. We will do it again when the new album drops, Copy.
Thank you, Andy. And, man, you got much love from me. Any support that you need, hit me up, man, and I've got you.
All right. Thanks, man. That sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
All right, peace.
That was back in May 2011. Had a good time talking with him, and we stayed in touch. And so when his latest album, God Save the King, came out this year in 2012, I thought, why not hit up Copyright? And, of course, he was willing to do an interview. So we did this one, and before I play that, I'd like to bring up my other sponsor, Secondhand Mall, also in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. Located at 309 West Ogden Avenue, they are a buy, sell, trade company, which took over from my last record store, Remember When Records, that I grew up in pretty much. They shut their doors after 28 years, and Secondhand Mall bought the property and also a lot of the inventory. So they're keeping the flame alive, and they have a huge selection of vinyl, big selection of CDs, video games, music instruments, a lot of cool vintage music gear. and 45s records, all bunch of good stuff. Drums. They have power tools for the construction worker in you. They have a whole bunch of cool stuff. Do check it out. Secondhand Mall. Give them a call at 630-810-9980 and check them out on the web at secondhandmall.com. All right, so here is my interview with Copywrite from February 2012.
Hey, nothing much, man. What's going on, Copywrite?
Chilling.
Awesome. This is the Swagger Killer himself, MC Copywrite 78. Second time on the show. Glad to have you. How's your Wednesday doing?
It's going, man. I just had some food. It was exquisite. It was delicious. The chef did a good job. Let's shout out the chef right now.
Wait, who's that, chef?
Nah, never mind.
Chef Raekwon, right? No, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you got a new album, God Save the King, dropping on February 28th, 12,
Yep.
on Man Bites Dog Records. What's the big difference between this album and the last one?
It's better. I try to honestly make everything I do after the previous one better. Just try to evolve, man. Try to make better music. Try to apply what I learned on the last song and apply it to the next song.
Awesome, cool. And how about the producers? Are we looking at different producers, some of the same, or a mix of both? Or
So it's kind of a mixture. I just go for whoever has beats that I like. That sets off my synesthesia at the time.
Sure.
I've got Ill Mind, I've got Crisis, I've got who else? I've got Stu Bangers, I've got Jane Notes.
You got Ron Satherus too?
Yeah, I've got him on 2 tracks. I've got RJD2. Who else, man? That might be about. I got Marco Polo. That might be about it.
Huh, cool. And heard you just got baptized again, right?
Yeah, man. The first time doesn't really count when you're like 2 years old. But yeah, I just got baptized again. Yeah.
Tell me how that's affecting your rhyme game or just the way you approach hip hop music.
Being baptized?
Yeah, just being baptized. Is that gonna open up your eyes?
Being baptized affects nothing. Being baptized is just an act of faith. But before I was baptized for the second time, once I was ready to stop running away from God, who I was running away from since I was about 17, 18, everything changed. So being baptized really didn't have too much to do with it at all, but more so how my brain works and what I know to be true and what I see to be true.
So
anyway,
it's like
I'm not going to...
a culmination of what you've been, like the work you've been putting in as far as with God.
Well, I mean, it's not even work that I put in. It's that God, you don't find God. God finds you. It's deep. It's a little too... I'm starting to realize that all this God stuff is a little too deep for the average reader and too deep for maybe even my audience. So, maybe I need to dumb it down a little bit and just do what I do and just see who is elected.
Who's receptive
of it? Are.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, just see who the elect are. Yeah, see who God has called to follow Him, and if they'll know it, they already do know it. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it alone, man. I'm just gonna let Him do His work because I can't do His work.
Yeah,
I can't do His work at all.
No, you can't fill those shoes at all.
Right. All I can do is do what I do, and whoever recognizes that faith has been activated in them, then they'll step forward just like I had to. I'll put it to you like this, man. I've got everything I ever wanted in this world. I'm very good with money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very good with I've got all the stupid props and quote unquote
fame that I could handle any more of it, and I'd probably like, be disgusted. Anything in the world I've ever wanted, I've achieved and I've got, and it wasn't enough. So some people who are elected to follow God, they all know that too. They'll still feel empty no matter what they get, because they're yearning for the Creator who created them and who knew them before they were in their physical body.
Sure.
So.
And does this have something to do with the title of the album, God Save the King, or was this just a cool play on the Sex Pistols?
Yeah, it was just a cool play on the Sex Pistols thing, man. I had nothing to do with that. That shows you how he works. I had nothing to do with that. I had no plans of being obedient. I was just doing what I was doing. I was just enjoying life, doing all the random things that I would do from day to day.
And was there like a moment where you definitely was hit with this feeling that you needed to get him more in your life, or was it just a slow happening?
It's been a slow happening ever since 1996. It's been a slow happening, and I just been ignoring it and turning my head to it and trying to lie to myself about it. But it just got to a point, man, where it dawned on me how real heaven and hell are, and that I don't want to be in hell.
Sure.
For eternity. People try to measure God by what we're limited to, and God's not limited to time. So they think heaven is a fluke. They think heaven sounds absurd because, it's eternal, heaven and hell. But time was only created for us here to obey by it, beyond our control.
Sure.
He doesn't have a time constraint.
No.
So that level of existence is way beyond time. And I'm just not trying to live there, man. I'm not trying to stay there. I'm not trying to be tormented. I really, honestly, I wish I could sit down with people, because I'm hard-headed myself. So I see certain scriptures in the Old Testament, and anyway, man, we can move on.
Sure, no
I'm
big deal.
doing what I said I didn't want to do. I'm getting too deep in the scripture, so.
Not a big deal at all, man. I totally respect whatever your faith is. Not a big deal at all. Swag It Killers. Let's explain what a Swag It Killer is to my audience. That's the new single with Jakai the Motor Mouth.
Oh, that's basically anti-non-lyricism, anti-fashion over lyrics, fashion over content, and we just felt like there was too much of that in the game, man. We just wanted to bring, do what we do best back, which is pure lyricism, pure style, new school hip-hop with old school ethics.
Sure. I think you're definitely re-entering the game at a time when that's sorely lacking in almost all contemporary hip-hop and rap music.
Yeah, I agree.
So you kind of found a perfect time to just swoop in,
yeah, I guess so, man. I guess it all works out. It all worked out. It's funny, man. Yeah, but I'm just doing what I've been doing since I came into this into the rap game or whatever.
Sure.
I just do what I do, man. I like what I like. I might like a keyboard beat that people hate, but yeah, for the most part, I'm just all about that. I'm just all about hard drums, man. Ill samples, dope lyricism.
Sure, definitely sounds good to me. How about taking it off the subject of the new album? How was your Valentine's Day going yesterday?
Oh, it's incredible, man. Thanks for asking.
Have you got a lady in the life, or what's the deal?
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah, about to. Yeah, definitely do, man.
Definitely.
I'm thinking about marriage.
All right. Yeah. How long you been with her for?
Been a while. It's been about a year, but I think when you're with the right person, it doesn't take too long for you to figure out that you want to spend the rest of your life with them.
Sure, definitely, I could see that.
I've been playing around since I was 16, man. I'm 33 now. I've been playing around for a long time. It gets old, man. You get sick of juggling,
Yeah, and then you get the loneliness mixed in with the juggling too. So
right, because none of them know you. There's no consistent basis. So yeah, man, I'm ready. I think I'm ready for that next step.
Sure. You think like marriage would ever like dull your like the lyricism, or maybe you won't have as much stuff to rhyme about?
Nah, man. If losing my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, my best friend, all if you know how to write lyrics, you know how to write lyrics, man. To me, it's like it's not even like words. To me, it's like drawing a picture, and I've been drawing since I was like 3 years old. So if you just know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. And I don't mean that to sound cocky, but music is easy. Music is the least of my concern.
Sure.
That's easy. That's a walk in the park, blindfolded.
Yeah, but you're saying like dealing with life, that's way more.
Yeah, yeah. Living real life, that's where it gets tricky. Yeah.
So you lost all those people within the last couple of years?
Something like that. I lost my dad in '98, my mom 2 years ago, my grandpa a year ago, and my grandmother about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And there's pretty much nobody left in my family, so I've got about 2 or 3 tight family members left, and that's it. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, it's time to start spreading your seed, right?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so like all these losses, did it take a huge toll on your psyche? Did you ever have to turn to alcohol, drugs, or anything like that, or were you just able to put it into your rhymes, or did it really take a huge toll on your soul?
No, I'll tell you what. When I was dating a girl for about 5 or 6 years, and I broke up with her, and we broke up in like '06, '05. And at that point, that's when I started getting heavier into mixing like pills and alcohol, opiates and alcohol.
Sure.
And that's when I was getting into a bunch of the trouble that people would see on the internet. And I would say that's had a big effect. And that was a trial and error situation, because I learned from there what to do, what not to do, what I can't do, what will get me in trouble, and just basically the danger zone. So luckily I learned all that before all this other stuff happened. When my mom passed, I was super self-destructive.
Sure.
I was suicidal. I kind of wanted to die. I had this plan in my head that I would just get like hooked up on some very, very harmful drugs and just fade away, just die enjoying the drugs I like. But it didn't last too long at all. I realized she doesn't want to see that, if she could see that.
Sure.
And I don't want to see that. So
no one wants to see that.
It's a pouty. It's a very childish, pouty way of, it's a pouty outlook. It's a very childish, like, well, I'm just going to do this. It doesn't last for too long if you have any sense.
Sure.
It dawned on me like I'm not doing that. It's not going to work out. Nobody's going to put their arms out and say, Pete, stop it. Yeah. So I quit it on my own, and that's when I started using my music, trying to use my music for helping other people that were in situations like mine. That's when I was working on Life and Times. When I was thinking, all right, I want to help people who are going through messed up situations and let them know they're not the only ones.
Sure, yeah. It's very egotistical to be like, oh, all these people have passed, so it's all on me. I'm burdened by their loss. Like, you're not really burdened by it. It's just a different thing that happened. You got to just somehow find a way to keep your head forward and put all those emotions into your work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was during the Life and Times of Pete Nelson, and that was a pretty successful record. It had been a couple years since the last foray into music, and how was that one appreciated by the community? Did you get a lot of props on that record?
Yeah, critics liked it, fans liked it. I was happy with it. I was surprised at the outcome, and it was a good time, man. It was dope because I put a lot of my personal experiences on record and on wax, and I got back positive response, so it was cool.
And was this one a lot easier to make since it just took 1.5 years, 2 years instead of the 7 years that it took to make the Life and Times?
Well, it didn't take 7 years to make Life and Times. It only took about a year to make Life and Times.
Oh.
It doesn't take me that long to make music. Yeah, it comes really easy to me. I was, before Life and Times came out, I made about 4 mixtapes. I made, ODOT Takeover.
Sure.
I made The Jerk. I made, I think there was one. Oh, The Worst and the Best of, and a slew of features. So it just, I just make music, man. Like right now I've got a bunch of music backed up. I just make music. Every day that passes I pretty much make music.
Really?
It's just words, man. I feel like, some people have it real easy, and I'm thankful that I can make music how I do, and it just comes real easy, man.
Sure, I saw that you got a lot of beats up on your Bandcamp site for sale. Is this another passion, or is this just a way to, fund the other, like the day job thing,
No, it's a passion, man. It's a definite passion. Like I love making beats. I've been making beats since '96. I started the same time Camus did. I love making beats, man. In the future, I plan to use a lot of my own production. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, I like doing it, man. It's a fun pastime. It's definitely a passion of mine.
Yeah, it seems like it would be an easy thing to put out your own album with your own beats, not have to mess with, giving producers points or giving credit. I mean, not that that's a big deal, but it would just seem like it would simplify the whole process, right?
Yeah, it would, man. But you know what? That's one aspect of it. But I'm really into it for the art, for the outcome, and a lot of people are way better than I am. So I like to go after the cats who are super ill, like Ill Mind and RJ and Crisis and J Notes.
Sure.
I like to get the best people that I know.
Speaking of J Notes, remember J Zone? Whatever happened to J Zone? I know he's got a book on the market. Do you ever still speak with him?
Yeah, I still speak to him. He's I don't think he wants to make music anymore. Which is a shame, because to me he's a dope MC, which he'll argue with you about, dope producer. But I don't know, man. Some cats just get sick of it. I feel like I don't know, man. It can happen. You can definitely get burnt out in this game.
I feel like hip-hop's in a way different space than it was like in 02, 03, 04, when indie hip-hop was pretty much all the rage. Sites like Hip Hop Site. I just read their DJ Pizzo might be, shutting down Hip Hop Site, stuff like that.
Oh, that's whack.
Yeah, I know. I had him on the show. He's a great guy. He really knows his stuff, and really put a lot of hard work and sweat into that website. And it would be a shame to see it just fall to pieces. But yeah, it's definitely a different environment in 2012. Not so sure it's a positive environment, but maybe it's the perfect time for you guys to just take it over. Especially if you guys. How's the the Megahertz album? How's that coming along?
We're about 10 tracks into it, man. It's doing pretty well. Matter of fact, we were focused on Megahertz before I was working on God Save the King, and I took what I thought was going to be like a 2-week, 3-week break to finish God Save the King, and that wasn't the case because it just started like evolving into a way bigger album than I thought. But it's going well, man. It's doing real well. It's basically what the fans would expect from the Megahertz. It's advanced stuff. It's like futuristic, next level. It's real dope. I hate using all those terms, but that's what we all strive for from the beginning, and that's what the album is, man. Like, it's really dope. You've got really, really incredible things going on that album, and RJ is doing the bulk of the production, which is sick, because a lot of people miss his rap beats, man, his hip-hop beats.
Yeah, he's been getting like more and more experimental, which is cool in its own way, good for club spins and stuff like that, but a lot of people do wish he'd return to that boom bap sound, table scraps and before that, and so that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm totally psyched about that. You think later this year? Or?
Yeah, it just all depends, man. I mean, if we wanted to, we could rush it and make that happen, but in a perfect world, it might be next year. Might be like early next year.
Sure. So are there plans of touring over God Save the King?
Yeah, I'm going on. I'm touring with Casual from Hieroglyphics and J Ross in April in the UK, though. Nothing in terms of the U.S. Matter of fact, we're kind of looking for a good U.S. tour manager, which is hard to find right now because dubstep's taken over so hard. But if any U.S. tour managers want to get at us, get at me. I'm easy to find on Twitter.
Sure, there's tons of places in Chicago that would have you. Abbey Pub, all sorts of places like that. I mean, especially a Hieroglyphic member with you. I mean, that's got to be killer. You guys collaborate at all, you and Casual?
Casual was on the new album.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got a track called Golden State of Mind with Casual, Evidence, and Rock Marciano.
Nice. So a little Cali, Copyright going to Cali?
Yeah, I was living out there for a year, so I've got a lot of love for California.
Oh, sure. I think like Alchemist, Evidence, those guys are really on the vanguard. I mean, Alchemist just dropped that album with Oh No, Gangrene. Those two cats are just insane with their beats. I mean, I think they're up there with the best, So.
Yeah, for sure.
You ever work with Oh No? I think you guys would be a good team.
Yeah, Tage has a Oh No beat that we dropped on for his album.
Tage has got an album coming out?
Tage does, yep,
Nice.
called Contagion. It's probably dropping about 2 or 3 months after mine, after GSK.
Nice, same label?
Yep, Man Bites Dog, yep.
So maybe he could hit the road with you guys, right? Or
yeah, man, yeah. I mean, that's who I like to do shows with, man. That's like original crew from,
It's
from
always a
back in the
dopest
day,
hype
so,
man
yeah.
when somebody from your group, that's like when there's a dope hype man, that would work.
Well, yeah, and he's more than a hype man. But I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. But yeah, he's a great MC, and we have great chemistry on stage, and we know what our music should sound like, so we know how to hype each other up.
Sure. Yeah,
how to stay in line when it comes to saying each other's rhymes and stuff like that.
Sure, exactly. There's a chemistry there that not a lot of people will understand, How about like going back to that dangerous lifestyle stuff? How about this, like the death of Whitney Houston? Did you see that one coming? I mean, I think I did a little bit. I mean, only 48 years old, summons up, right?
Yeah, I mean, you never know what people are really doing behind the scenes, but it's pretty messed up. My condolences definitely go out to her. It's sad, man. Drugs don't love you. Drug dealers don't love you. You're paying a bunch of money to drug dealers, for nothing, for a false sense of happiness, for a false sense of security.
Sure.
And I've been there. I'm not downing anybody. I'm not condoning condemning anybody. But just I've been through it, so I can talk about it. It's not a good thing, man. It's not beneficial in any way.
Yeah, like I was hearing Joe Rogan say, you never heard anybody get their life together with cocaine. It just never seems to be a positive.
Yeah.
Things started going in the right direction after that. No, it never really happens that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do think, I don't know. People are blaming Bobby and stuff like that. He might have turned around to it, but
Bobby.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't blame anybody but the person who's doing it, man. Nobody puts a gun up to your head and says, "Hey, try this." I found cocaine in my parents' closet when I was like 6 years old. I didn't do it till I was about 24, 25. But I can't put that blame on my parents. Nobody tells you what to do.
Exactly.
You do what you do what your mind prompts you to do.
For sure. And it totally snuffed out, a very talented vocalist. And, I mean, it's just going to happen more and more. I do believe she was one of the best singers of the 90s. Her and Mariah Carey.
Incredible.
Yeah. I don't see that many singers out now. I mean, sure, Adele. I watched some of the Grammys. I was pretty impressed by Adele. I think she's got the soul in her voice that's missing now.
I don't even know who Adele is, man.
You don't even know? I
don't watch that kind of TV. And I haven't for a while. So I don't even know a lot of things that people talk about. I'm like, who? Okay, yeah. I'm just really don't care to research it. But
and there was no hip hop on the award show at all. Completely missing from the whole 3 hours. So.
Yeah.
It's a different time, different day and age, but I do think there are some new, who do you listen to new hip hop? I mean, how do you feel about this Odd Future stuff? I mean, I kind of think it's kind of like a punk rock take on the old hip hop stuff, but I mean, I'm not willing to give them like the next big thing judgment just yet,
They've got a lot of talent, man. Frank Ocean is a dope vocalist, which he's not as outlandish as the rest of them.
Sure, yeah.
Earl Sweatshirt, he's real dope. Tyler is dope. He's cool. He's cool as an MC. He's got a really dope voice that carries him, and he's good at making beats. He's got an unconventional way of making beats. But It's funny, man, because before I wanted to start trying to live right for Christ is when they came out, like 2 or 3 months before that. And even then, I really couldn't dig into it because it's, like, I can't go to a marriage counselor class by a 12-year-old. You see what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
I'm 33. I can't, there's nothing that a young little mind can tell my old ass. And I think advanced kind of, so I was like, that's dope, man. That's dope for these young kids, for whatever that's worth. Like, hold on one second.
Sure.
Or not. All right.
Sure,
but,
I can see what you're saying. Like, he's he's doing that shock value stuff. That's cool for
Yeah. And it's, it sounds good. Some of it sounds good, but I just can't listen to it. It doesn't do anything for me.
Sure, yeah, I agree. I think the beats are more something that's, singular and original on their sound. Otherwise, lyrics are just kind of like a teenager just trying to piss people off, and that's cool.
Right. It's like a kid. Lyrically, it's like a kid stomping into his bedroom from the dining room, mad at his mom. So it doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah. So I heard you won the Columbus Hip Hop Award. What was it, last summer?
Yeah, the last one they had. Yep.
How was that? And was it pretty much like a culmination of a lot of hard work in that town? I mean, you guys pretty much put them on the map pretty much as far as hip-hop, right? I mean, you guys and Jay Rawls.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was dope. I mean, the Ohio Hip Hop Awards is a very good thing. They do a really good job at having an event for our whole state. I mean, they've got everybody from High Tech to Bone Thugs and Harmony to Cat Williams to it's a big, like when people hear about it, it's not some little crappy event. Like it's a big deal out here, and it's a big. If people covered it, it would be a big deal to them too. It's like they do a good job, man. And the fans out here really support me. I don't have to tell people like, yo, go vote for me, or I'm doing, they just do it, which I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, I'm just shocked at it, and I love them for it, man. It shows me that people out here really, they've got a lot of love, man, for their own homegrown talent. So. Sure,
yeah, that's something that Chicago doesn't really have. They don't really have that love. They don't really like follow you on your career, as far, yeah. How about like Bone Thugs? I didn't realize that's an Ohio name. Did you ever meet those guys, or you ever build with them?
Yeah. I know Busy and I know Crazy, and those are good cats, man. Like I wish them the best in everything they do. Those are good dudes.
Yeah, that was a totally different sound. 94, 95 when they came out.
Yeah.
Totally blew the sound away. I mean, it helped to have an Eazy-E behind them, but without Eazy-E, I think they'd still be where they're at.
Right. Well, yeah. They're really dope. They definitely laid down the foundation for a lot of cats out here.
Yeah,
and worldwide.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the new album is God Save the King, out February 28th. Obviously, a big release for Copywrite. I guess it's really your third studio album, right?
Yep.
And so we got another single coming out to promote, or is it you got another video?
We've got a bunch, man. We've got about 4 or 5, 6 videos coming out next. So I mean, it's funny because when I took that little break when I was still making all those mixtapes, like I don't really play around. It's when I put my mind to something, I go for it. And you've got a lot of videos coming out, man. A lot of music, a whole lot of music, and a lot of more music to come. So yeah, it should be interesting, man. It's I really, truthfully, bro, I just want people to say that he's got 3 classic albums back to back. That's what I'm going for, because I don't really know too many people that have that. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's something you can hold.
Yeah.
So it's coming out February 28th. Follow Copywrite. You always got a lot of cool stuff to say on Twitter. A lot of smart stuff. A lot of ranging the gamut from religion to hip hop to humor. A lot of cool stuff. That's at Copywrite with WRITE.
Thank you, man.
No problem at all. And that's Copyright's World is the website, right?
Yep.
All right. Any last words or anything else, Copy?
That's it, man. I'm a messed up sinner saved by grace. Praise Jesus Christ. Shout out to everybody in the world. I love you all equally. That's it, man. Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming back on. So on behalf of Copywrite, I'd like to thank you for checking out the Andy Dare Show.
Hey, man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Dare, ANDYDERER. And like our show on Facebook. That's Facebook.com/The Andy Dare Show. Videos at YouTube.com/Andrew Martin Dare. And it all leads back to the AndyDareShow.com. Support our show by supporting our sponsors. Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Secondhand Mall, The Man Grate, and Amazon.com. Thank you so much for listening.